My name's David Carson. I'm doing another interview with another mayoral candidate by the name of Ricky Pickett. And so I'm just going to go over some questions, and we're having a conversation / interview, and we'll see how it goes, okay? Thanks for coming out.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the people of Florence.
Cool. Let's see here. The first question I'm going to ask you is, why are you running for mayor?
Oh, I never saw myself running for mayor. It came about, I started following some of the political blogs in Florence, such as Vote 'em Out Florence, and I saw the discontent in a lot of people, and then I never thought, well, I couldn't give up my job as an aerospace engineer to go run for mayor of Florence, but I was given the opportunity to retire early. So now I thought, I think I could be a good mayor and do a good job for the people of Florence.
Cool. What would you say would separate you from the other candidates that are running for mayor?
For starters, a lot of people are calling for a clean slate and someone with no prior connections to Florence, and that is me. I grew up in a little town south of here called Russellville. I went off to college.
Some may have heard of it.
Some may have heard of it.
I'm sorry, I joke.
Let's keep this fun. This is what we want, man. Let's get it fun.
Yeah.
So, Russellville's changed a lot over the years, but we're talking about Florence.
Yeah.
I went off to college at Alabama, Huntsville. I got a degree in electrical engineering, and I got a master's degree also in electrical engineering.
All right.
So I never saw myself running for Florence mayor or any kind of political position anyway. But I thought, given my experience, that I could do a good job. Go back to the original question, why do I want to run for mayor? And I want to see a Florence for all the people, not just certain cliques.
Yeah. Good old boy system, perhaps.
Yes, you could say that.
Some way may call.
That you could say that very, very much so. So I think I can do well for the people of Florence, and what I've saw out of the other candidates, I'm not pleased with.
You would you don't have to, but any specifics?
Well, they've made a whole lot of bad decisions. Now I know they weren't the ones involved in the whole. We got hacked and paid the.
No, some of them were, I think.
We'll have to check the archives.
Yeah.
Okay, but it happened.
Well, they were there, whether they were involved or not. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're helping. I like this. Yeah. So when I heard in the paper back then they were going to trust the hackers, I'm thinking to myself, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Then we, I'm in the North Alabama fishing forums, and they were upset because they got this mighty transition refurbishment for the McFarland, and we all know that place is underwater several times a year. And I'm thinking, you're going to spend all this money to make this grand park at McFarland, and sometimes you have to bug out. There's a stick in the ground down there, and it says flood.
The flood water line, basically.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm not a very tall man, but it's up to about right here when I stand there next to it.
Yeah.
So, and then they've just made a whole lot of bad decisions. Yeah. And I've read some of the old political posts by people, concerned citizens, as far back as 2022.
Yeah.
And they said some very disparaging things about the current establishment that is in charge of Florence.
Yeah.
And let's say that I'm in agreement with that.
Okay.
And so I want to run. They had a secret meeting not too long ago, not a secret, emergency
Emergency,
meeting. Special
yeah.
emergency.
Yeah.
So that they could vote on the Saks Capitol and the Days Inn, and they're gonna turn it in.
The Reverb
The
Hotels.
Reverb Hotel, yes.
Sponsored by Eugene Sachs, yeah.
And if I was mayor, the only reason that we would have an emergency city council meeting
If it's
was,
for emergencies.
yeah, like natural disasters.
Yeah.
That's right. That was just an example
Mm-hmm.
of what's been going wrong in this place. And so I want full transparency. I would
Yeah.
like to see, I will have a website with the proposed agendas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe if it's something down in the noise, we won't put it on every major agenda item will be on there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have an opportunity for people to make comments.
Mm-hmm.
If you're busy at work, if you work the night shift and you can't get to the city council meeting,
Yeah.
then your concerns are going to be heard.
Yeah, 'cause I know they blocked the comments on the live stream on Facebook, so the current mayor is responsible for that.
We won't be blocking anything. And I don't know that we will be able to address everybody's comments, but what we will do is have a staff member consolidate those comments.
You at least try, right?
At least try, that's right. And if someone feels that they didn't get addressed, well, then they can bring that back up.
Yeah. And you be open to suggestions from community members like myself and others about like different ideas for transparencies, which I do have them. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Full transparency is my promise to the citizens of Florence.
I'm going to throw in a question that's popped in my head. If you're mayor, would the citizens have access to you?
Yes, absolutely. I would probably try to find a few slots that would accommodate the majority of the people of Florence for whatever shift you work, or and find a location.
There's a reason why I'm asking that.
Yes, that would be great. I would love. I don't want to hide in my office. I want to represent the people of Florence.
That'd be cool. Next question. What's your vision for the future of Florence?
That's a good question, and it's a difficult one that gets us into our challenges. I grew up in Russellville, but I've been coming to Florence all my life. And Florence is an old town. My mother went to the University of North Alabama. It had 6,500 students at the time. We came here as a senior in high school to the planetarium for a science group. Florence is a wonderful old town, but now we see an influx of people moving here from across the country. My neighbor across the street is a wonderful lady that came here from New York City. She worked in banking. She bought an old house that had been sitting off in the woods to itself and refurbished it. Now, those people have got careers and sold properties, and they've got more money than our local residents have had. So the vision is a blending of the past and the present,
Okay.
so that we can see to it that we don't run off our old-time residents that don't have the money to compete for properties and rents that's happening in this town, and still welcome in the people that's coming here and revitalizing and bringing a lot to the city itself. So the vision is to blend the past and the present.
Okay. All right. Next question. Something an issue that's sort of in vogue right now. Do you have any thoughts on the new City Hall deal that's being discussed?
Absolutely unnecessary on the terms that I'm hearing now.
Okay.
If
You don't have to give a definitive answer if you don't have all the information, but.
Well,
yeah.
okay, I would say that the city leaders should provide a reason. Is the building structurally sound? Is the utilities functional? Is there an amount of money that could be done to maybe give it a little bit of a refurbishment that would be nowhere near the amount of money that's been paid now?
For a new one? Yeah.
For a new one?
Yeah.
And it gets back to the transparency. In addition to the old parking garage, I don't know did they show a structural engineer's report on the old parking lot? Did they? I don't know. They told us it wasn't safe. They built a new one, and they tore it down. Same thing now that's happening with the town hall. If it's got structural fractures that's going to be unsafe for the citizens of Florence, that would be a reason to build a new one. If it doesn't, and they just want a shiny new building, then I would say no.
From my perspective, I feel like they just want a shiny new
They
building.
want a shiny new building. Well, with the financial...
My opinion.
Right. And I believe a concerned citizen said that one of the current council members said, don't worry about it, it's going to be a bond issue. Now, I'm not Charles Schwab or anything like that, but I do understand that those have to be paid back with interest.
Yeah.
And in alliance with the whole Daisy Inn to the refurb hotel.
Yeah, reverb, yeah.
Reverb.
Yeah.
No one gave us any numbers on, they didn't comment on the structural integrity of that building. I just passed by it on the way here. Some things were sinking. And the reason I heard in the Times Daily back a few years ago is why I quit operations.
What building are you talking about now?
The Days Inn.
Oh, the Days Inn.
The one that they're going to do
the site of the...
Yeah, it was in such bad shape that they couldn't keep operating. Now they're going to tell us they're going to turn it into a Reverb Hard Rock Cafe, hotel, whatever this is.
Yeah, they're going to tear it down, I'll tell you that much, because that building's going to be huge, but...
If they're going to tear it down and start over, okay.
Yeah.
So, but my opinion on that is that should be up to a city planner and the city council to negotiate, not someone that they appoint from a private citizen.
Yeah. I've got lots of opinions on that, but this is mainly about your...
That's
yeah.
right. So we were talking about the city hall, and
Yeah.
I don't believe it's necessary. You're going there. There's the
Do you think should be more information?
more information,
Yeah.
and also they haven't considered those bond repayments, and that's going to have to come due in the future.
Yeah.
In comparison to the financial obligations that Florence has,
Yeah.
and the income that it has.
Yeah.
This town, if you look it up, the median household income is rather low.
Yeah.
And then we've got a failing infrastructure in our sewer pipes,
Yeah.
a la 7 Points.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of our water lines are still cast iron.
There's some issues, coming up issues with our
Right.
filtering the water supply as well.
Water supply,
Yeah.
right? So in my mind, why spend this amount of money
On something that
as
might...
something on a shiny new building when you may not be able to get facilities for your citizens?
Yeah, okay.
So we would, if I were mayor and I had a vote, it would be a no.
At the very least, would you make the whole process a little bit more transparent than they made it now?
Everything is going to be more transparent.
Cool.
Down to putting a quarter in the bubble gum machine. Past that, we're going to be transparent.
I'm just going to throw a comment here. I feel because I think it's relevant. A lot of city leaders are confused by the response from some of us, and a lot of this could have been alleviated if they were just a little bit more open and clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not to point fingers at anyone in particular, but generally people that try to hide things have something to hide.
Yeah.
And if they didn't have anything to hide, then they could have just come right forward in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe that lesson will, I don't know, be learned at some point. I think it's going to have to be people that have already learned, that might already know that lesson, because, it doesn't seem like they get it. But that's sorry to throw my opinion
No,
in.
yeah.
Next, is there anything else on your mind? That's kind of the questions I had. I can throw some more stuff at you if you want. I could probably think of something.
Let's I don't know if we can zoom into this so that the citizens can see.
Here, let me see this right here. He wants to show this right here. I'm not sure how well that focuses, but There we go.
When I first heard that Ron Tyler was running, I thought, well, maybe he seems like an okay guy. So I started doing a little research into Ron Tyler. And this is a James W. Bobo is in Florence, Alabama, and it's January the 24th, 2021. And it says, "Thank you Times Daily for the front page feature. Let's make this deal happen." And is developer seeks funding help from the city. So if you go over, there you go, put that up there to the camera.
I'm probably gonna have to just attach this stuff,
Right, we can do that.
but, yeah.
So then, here is the same James Bobo with Ron Tyler, and they are in Huntsville. And it's Ron Tyler congratulating James Bobo, a Florence developer, and his group on the ribbon cutting for Arcadia in Huntsville. Now, I looked this Arcadia up, and they're right there near Mid-City, the old Madison Square Mall. And the rents are somewhere $1,600 to $1,900 a month for a studio and a one-bedroom. And it said Mayor Battle came out for the ribbon cutting ceremonies. Huntsville's proud, blah, blah, blah. And then down at the bottom is the part that caught me. And it said, "I look forward to the day soon," being Ron Tyler, "where we create conditions that welcome these developments by Florence developers in Florence rather than Huntsville. Another missed opportunity." So he believes that this was a missed opportunity to bring in one-bedroom apartments that rent for $1,900 a month. I disagree with Mr. Tyler.
Could you, is there a date on that newspaper? So maybe I can just,
It is October the 29th. It's Ron Tyler's page.
just
It's
which
October
October
the
29th
29th
Times
of
Daily?
20. No, this is his personal Facebook Ron Tyler for Governor page, October the 29th,
Okay,
2024. 2024. And I will send that to you.
Ron Tyler. And what, do you have the date on that, Times Daily article?
It is also, it was a James Bobo post on Facebook from January the 24th, 2021.
Do you have the date on that?
My eyesight is not what it used
Let
to
me
be.
see if I can get that. It would, yeah, that's, Sunday, January 24th. January 24th, 2021.
Yes.
Times Daily article.
Yes. I don't believe that's the right direction for the people of Florence. I don't think that's right for the citizens of Florence. The medium household income in Florence is somewhere around $50,000, which gets me to my
Not
next.
everyone can afford to
Not
buy a
the-
house either, you know.
They can't
so-
afford to buy a house, and they can't afford those
The
rents,
rent.
which gets me to my primary focus. And I really want, this is what I want my primary focus to be. One
Okay.
candidate said his primary focus was mental health. Well, okay, fine. My primary focus is going to be industrial recruiting. And with my background in technology and aerospace and growing up with a grandfather that ran a construction company and doing side projects on my own, I believe I'm well versed for this. I would like to see, I would hope to see, now I don't know if it's available, but you asked me my vision for the, for one of the
A
questions.
vision's a vision, you
A
know.
vision is a vision.
Yeah.
You know, find a parcel that Florence could annex for a industrial site. Now, a mega site might be dreaming a little big, but we could make it as much as possible so that we could bring in, recruit, and hopefully bring in industry that's going to pay a better wage than what we're currently seeing in Florence. And then that way, maybe the people of Florence could work those jobs and afford to make rent on a nicer place and have a better lifestyle.
Something that would benefit the citizens of Florence more than maybe a new city hall building?
Yes, something that you could spend that a whole lot less money on an industrial complex. And, you know, I don't know, like Florence is landlocked. And that gets us to another point is it came together hodgepodge over the years. They did the Cox Creek Parkway, and that's great. It's hard to get through Florence or around Florence because of the road systems.
Yeah.
So, likewise, there's really no place to put a major industrial complex unless you annex, say, north and west of here. Nice and flat towards the landfill. Great spot. The next thing I'd like to see is I drive down the Tennessee River, and one of our greatest assets is that port down there. And I saw on the article that they went and partnered with other municipalities for a grant for refurbishment of the crane system down there. I believe that one of our great assets for industrial recruitment is we're right in the middle of the hub with the port. A lot of there's a new aerospace hub coming to West Colbert. We've got Huntsville, and I believe that we're centrally located with the port. And then there's all that property up and down the north side of the river down there that's just, I go down there and there's just old metal scrap vehicles.
Yeah.
And I wonder, why can't we make use of this? That gets back to my vision for Florence.
Yeah.
And the last thing is I grew up a bass fisherman. And the Shoals Economic Development Authority always touts the amount of money that those bass tournaments bring in. They stay in our hotels. They pay gas tax when they fill their boats and their trucks up. Their wives come with them and they shop. They eat at our restaurants and pay sales tax. Lots of money. So what I want is to focus on the positives and build on our potential. Which, ask me about UNA, because I know it's a very controversial subject.
Oh, I'm very interested in you. Well, I'm going to ask you about UNA. What do you think about the current city's relationship between the UNA?
It is a double-edged sword that I see both sides of the coin. If I were to defend UNA, I would say that I see that their students are out there buying groceries, eating at the restaurants, buying clothes, all these things that bring revenue into the city. Okay? So that's a positive. The thing that makes this a college town and gives it a wonderful little feeling is great, right? I love that it's Renaissance, not flow. So, just saying.
Yeah, the logo.
That's right.
He's referring to the logo debacle.
Right. That was another one, another bad decision.
Yeah.
So, I've sat having a beer at some of the places, and the football players were bartenders. We got along great. I love the fact that we got a football team in a college town. I believe that the amount of funding that I hear that the city of Florence is putting into UNA, that's excessive.
Do you work for UNA?
No, I do not.
There's some people on our council that do.
I think that's a conflict of interest, and I understand that some of them excuse themselves from the votes on that.
Yeah. I'm just saying, behind the scenes, and
well, you don't know there's a lot going on besides behind the. I suspect that there's a lot going on behind the scenes.
I could go. Usually, people don't have to ask me to start on UNA. I usually am talking about it, and for me to really get into it, I'd need a moderator or something here.
Right,
I've got strong feelings.
Well, let's keep this thing short so people will listen to it.
So, would you take a closer look at conflicts of interest with UNA?
Absolutely.
And with your dealings with UNA, will you keep in mind what's best for everyone in the city, not just UNA?
That's right.
And do you have any particular loyalty to UNA over
none
the Florence?
whatsoever. I have no loyalty to any financial entities in Florence whatsoever. I own a little house that I've refurbished myself up North Florence.
Yeah, but you get what I'm getting
Yeah,
at.
I have no financial interest in anything to do with Florence. Zero.
Did you go to UNA?
I went to Alabama Huntsville.
So you're not even
I'm not even an alumni. I went
Yeah.
to, I would like to, if speaking of UNA, I would like to, they did some positive things in that. I see that they're adding more math and computer science.
Yeah.
So
It is a liberals art.
It is.
It's a liberal
You
art
know, I
college.
mean, everyone, as long as you can pay for it, go study what you want to.
Yeah, there's things that come with it.
That's right. I would like to encourage more, you know, my daughter went into nursing. She went to Auburn and then Alabama Huntsville. UNA has a great nursing program.
Yeah.
We went out one morning for the ROTC, and that's great for young people that enter a military career. You know, just in general, and this has nothing to do with running for Florence. If you choose an educational path, you need to be able to have a reasonable expectation of.
It needs to make sense, I think, right?
That's right. To have a job when it's done that makes you, you know. And so if that happens, it's going to be good for everybody, you know. And if you want to go into liberal arts and pursue whatever life.
If you can make it work.
If you can make it work, that's right. You know, if you're going to get a liberal arts degree and you're going to law school, or you want to be a social worker, or you want to be whatever you want to be, that's great.
Yeah.
But I don't want to subsidize that with the city of Florence's taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
And
Dual loyalties and I feel like there's dual loyalties in our government as far as UNA is concerned.
that's right. There's some very intense loyalty because they are alumni, and I'm not with no.
I feel like if the way they're treated now, it's like they get treated like a city department without all the downsides. While being are they a private institution, or are they part of the city? It's kind of hard to tell sometimes. That's
right.
my
So
gripe.
I don't know. People's going to research me, I know, and I've been a Trump supporter, and so I would like to see something Doge-like to do a
Yes.
dive into to do a dive into.
I think it goes along with transparency.
That's right. Where has our money been spent? And if there's been fraud in the past, let's find out about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about the Doge thing.
Right.
That's for sure. I mean, if they have nothing to hide, let's see.
Let's go see it. Speaking of that, I think the two leading candidates need to be way more transparent than what they've been. And I watched Bill Griffin's interview on his first thing. He was talking about safety in Florence and how the crime has risen so much in the past. Well, I went down to Wildwood to sit and have a beer the other night, and there was a homeless man having a call of nature right out there on the steps, on the sidewalks. Mm-hmm. So homelessness, crime has increased in Florence tremendously over the last few years, and that didn't just pop up since Ron Tyler retired from being police chief. Mm-hmm. And as far as Mr. Bill Griffin is concerned, since he's been city council member all these years, how many times did he bring that up to the city council for them to address the crime that's happened and happening and the fears that people have? So I think my opinion would be don't wait until you get down to election time to try to do something about it.
Okay. Anything else you feel like talking about?
Well,
I'm out of questions.
I think I've stirred the pot enough.
All right. Cool. So I guess we'll call the interview. I just want to say, like, I'm open for other interviews depending on my schedule and stuff. And
Why don't we get some public feedback?
Yeah.
And if there's interest and questions for candidate Ricky Pickett for mayor,
We could discuss that afterwards.
then I'll be happy to sit down for further interviews if it's requested.
You got any final things to say to the folks that are watching here? You can talk to the camera.
All right. So I'm Ricky Pickett. I'm not perfect. I have my flaws. But I can promise you that I will be transparent and do the best that I can for Florence. And way more transparency, more community input, more fact-finding on the decisions that's been made. Mm-hmm. That's my promise to Florence.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Thank you very much, David.
All right, cool.